Welcome to the Going North podcast, where we will deliver you tips and techniques to advance yourself and anything you decide to do in life. I am your host, Brightmon, and every Thursday I will interview authors, especially self-published ones from various walks of life, who will deliver you information and inspiration to help you charge forward. On a quick side note, be sure to check out my book, Going North, on Amazon.com. It's available ebook, paperback, and audio book. Now let's get on with the show. And today on the Going North podcast, we have, you guessed it, another author, but not just any author. This one's a special guest. This one's very special indeed. Let me tell you why. Not only the fact that a few years ago we used to go to church together, it was also the fact that we also were in the same group in that church called the Corporate Development Ministry. And under that umbrella, she was one heck of an awesome leader, and she plotted out a few programs for the following year. And one of those just so happens to be a public speaking seminar. Knowing myself back then when I was starting my professional development, I'm like, you know what, let me sign up for this. And after chairing that event, it led to me bursting out of my shell and doing tons more. And this podcast is just one of those many things. So this lady right here is one of the reasons for my success today. And it's a pleasure to have her today on the podcast as a fellow person in the newly minted Authors Club. And you're wondering, who is this special lady? I'm talking about the one, the only, Monique Daniels. How are you today, ma'am?
Thank you so much, Dominique. Thanks so much for having me today.
Oh, yeah, my pleasure indeed. So I just gave a short little introduction. Well, not really much of an introduction. They just probably know we go to church together and we go way back like red light and green light. So mind filling in the gaps where I may have missed some things?
Sure. I'm a Baltimore native. I started a career back in healthcare back in like the early 2000s, and I've always had a mission to help others and to make a difference in the lives of, the community. And so one of the things when we worked together in the career and development ministry was offering, different educational services for underserved populations, whether it was resume writing, interviewing skills, the public speaking workshop like you mentioned, and also introductory computer courses. So we've had a chance to work together, and that was awesome. So it's good to know that helped spearhead some of your future endeavors after that. But as far as me, my first job after undergrad was working at a shelter for young girls, aged 10 to 17. These were young ladies that were referred from the Department of Social Services or Department of Juvenile Services and the Department of Human Services. And at the shelter, we aim to provide a safe environment for them to develop a plan where, the girls could eventually be reunited with their families. So that was a very enriching experience for me, being like one of my first jobs after college and being able to connect with those young ladies that were ultimately pulled away from their family because of unsafe environments. That kind of started my career in wanting to help and a mission to help others. I later worked in the mental health system, credentialing clinicians, and then I transferred to higher education. And I began my career in higher education about 13 years ago. In doing so, I enjoy working collaboratively with various levels of university leadership. We ultimately provide innovative programming, and so I like meeting diverse professionals. As you know, when we were working in the career and development ministry, we met a lot of different people from the community that came to seek the services we were offering. And so in my career as well, in higher education, I meet a diverse group of professionals from all over the world, and we offer programs that help people advance in their career, if they want to pursue professional development, and just simply increase their knowledge in, a specific area that of training that we're offering. So I just have many passions, I could say, currently today, and I love giving back to the community. I love providing those educational services, and I love tutoring young children and mentoring young women. In my role as a mentor, I found out firsthand the importance of having, that special someone to confide in, to empower you, to encourage you in your confidence, someone that they can emulate and, to keep you on track for setting your goals. One day I hope to have, a mentor of my own. I currently don't. That's just a short little bit about me and where I am right now.
That's awesome indeed, though, helping out the youth, helping us young ladies who are still in their teens, and not only educating yourself past a certain point as well, and not only doing that to keep going to write your very first book. So this is awesome indeed. So with the mentoring, what really led to, I guess, the transition period right now of not having a mentor at the moment?
I just haven't connected with someone. You meet a lot of different professionals, a lot of different women that are advancing in their careers, and, they help me at different points in my life, but no one that was, consistent that I would say I would call a mentor. I pulled on different people at different places in my life, and so they were helping me at, with a particular time and period in my life, but no one that's been consistent that I would say as a mentor. But it's always something that I think is a good thing to have in your life.
Yeah, it's true indeed. I like to call mentors a book on steroids because they've been through some of the stuff that you want to go through, and they've been through all the traps that you want to avoid, and they can help you avoid those traps, as well as some of the shiny objects. I mean, I'm pretty sure if they put chocolate in front of you, you still might go for it. But yeah, so in your long journey of higher education and helping out the youth and the community, what trials did you have to overcome to get to where you currently are?
I would say it's interesting that you asked that. You mentioned about the book. One of my most difficult moments in life, I kind of depicted in the book that I co-authored, which is Bittersweet Love Chronicles, and I provide a brief snapshot of my journey towards healing, where I share hidden parts of myself in the area of love and relationship. And as I think back, I would say that when I was young, I would say I had a nurtured childhood by my, grandparents and parents, which is my most close-knit family, which I'm grateful for to this day. But, as a young person, when they were overprotective, I wanted to go places and do things. My friends were allowed to, but I wasn't as a young child. I'm quite sure you can probably relate. I've always had a strong bond with my parents, and they've helped shape me into who I am today. And I think that the bond that I have with my parents has caused me not to want to disappoint them in any way. One of the things, I don't know if I mentioned earlier, is that I happen to be an only child. And so the difference with only children, I think, is that we exhibit behavior in a different way because we carry all the burden as the offspring of our parents. If you mess up, all the attention is on you. I'm a reflection of my parents. And one of the things I had to overcome was being afraid to mess up or fail or make questionable life choices or, not to live up to their expectations that they have for their child. I think that, when I went to college is where I really got to just spread my wings more because I chose to stay on campus and get that full university experience and see what it was like to, have a roommate and to be outside of my parents' home. And I think that helps a lot, just being around other students and other peers my age and being able to make some decisions on my own for me. In addition to being a student worker in the Office of Diversity Resources, it allowed me to meet all different types of people, cultivate bonds with other students of different backgrounds, different religions and cultures, and I learned so much more about relating to people. So I think that college added a lot of good and bad to my life, and all of it helped shape me into who I am. So, God had a purpose for it.
Yeah, it's true indeed. God has a purpose for each and every one of us, and only child thing is true because you don't have a scapegoat when you do something stupid. So that can suck.
That's true. Everything falls on you, right?
It's like, no, it was Jimmy. Crap, he's not in the room. He's not even here. Darn it. Yeah, it was me. Like, oh, darn. But hey, it looks like you transformed that pain into power by writing a book and keep going forward. So what advice would you give to someone who is looking to get into the healthcare field and possibly one day write their own story?
I'd say if you have a passion for something and that desire remains with you, pursue it. That passion and desire is there for a reason and should be shared with others. Find ways to cultivate that gift or that passion you have, whether it be to write a book or to be in the healthcare industry or whatever field it is that you're interested in. Develop a plan and write down your step-by-step goals and how to get there. I mentioned earlier about a mentor. If you can, if it's somebody that's already in that field, they can probably kind of guide you and direct you along the way or give you some advice, like you mentioned before, that could help you. Check in with your own self weekly or monthly just to see how you've made progress on your plan. That's very important. Lots of times we develop a plan and write it down, and then we don't look at it until like months later and say, oh, I could have worked on this or I could have done that to try to get towards that goal. So checking in with yourself is a good thing. And most certainly develop a support system, to help you motivate yourself during the times it gets difficult or you feel stagnant. There are times, especially with healthcare, I've also worked in like the mental health system as well. And in doing so, a lot of that can be difficult, whether it's working with sick and illness population or those with mental illness, or if you're working in a plan and things aren't coming together the way you would like, you may feel like you're stagnant. And so your support system will help encourage you along the way. And if you want to be an author, be one. Whether you seek a publisher or you decide to self-publish, definitely possible. Set goals for yourself and determine what your purpose is for becoming an author. Is it to share your story? Will it be fictional or nonfiction? Will it be purely entertain? Is it, to get creative words and feelings out that, that you have in your head that you just want to get on paper and then thinking that someone else can connect with the words that you've shared? So it's a personal choice to decide what you want to do and what you want to pursue. I became one of the authors of Bittersweet Love Chronicles with the new author explosion developed by author and motivational speaker Dr. Michelle Capel-Taylor. I knew one day that I wanted to publish, and, this is the beginning of that vision. I'm currently working on a manuscript of my own for a novel, so stay tuned for that.
Woohoo!
Yeah, so that's in progress. And as far as my final advice to someone, I would say ultimately, I think as long as what you pursue comes from an authentic place, it will reach its desired purpose, and you'll be proud of what you've accomplished.
Good stuff indeed, especially about the support system thing, because it can be, I wouldn't say it can be hard these days. It can be sometimes a little bit difficult for, like, having a certain circle of friends that you can probably trust with certain information, because some folks like to use social media as their journals when it's not for that.
Mm-hmm.
So what advice would you give to someone who's looking to develop their support system for reaching their goals?
I think this day and age, it's sometimes easier to meet people, whether you're, like you mentioned, social media. There's different groups that you can connect with, people that you may have went to school with. You may use LinkedIn and have connections where someone that's in the field that you are, if you happen to do a search that way. In addition, some people connect on Meetup where you may have a similar interest, like new authors or new writers, things like that, and connecting with people that way. Or just the old-fashioned way of, meeting people on a day-to-day. You might be out at an event that a friend invites you to, and connect with people that way by word of mouth. But developing that network is important. And just being able to share the interests that you have with someone else whether it's being an author or working in the healthcare system or what have you. There's always someone that you can connect with. It's just being open to finding that.
That is awesome indeed, being open to finding what you need. So for those who are out there being open, would there be any networking tips, at least 2 or 3 that you would give to someone, especially someone who's ultra young, like they're just out of college and they're looking to get out there and get the first job and whatnot?
I would say first, thinking back to undergrad myself, normally there's an advisor that you're assigned in school, and so I would say starting with them, because they normally have a network or contact of people and resources in their system, and I would say start with them, and they could probably point you in a direction. During the time when you're matriculating through your major, there's people in your class that you can connect with that may also are trying to build a network as well, and so connecting with them. Also, now, like I said, social media is a very good resource with people putting out networking events that are normally public that you can see that are happening in your area or your city, and going there, taking that step to go and connect with people, being more social about what it is that you want to do and what you want to pursue, and you know, people won't know what you want to do unless you share it, and those are just some different ways of kind of networking and going to different events and letting people know what it is that you're pursuing.
That's right. Let folks know what it is. Let them know what time it is. That's right. Networking time. Give me that business card. Well, alrighty. So with all this knowledge, I'm pretty sure you had to read some kind of other information outside of school to really get you going and to inspire you to write your own book. So what book or books have really inspired you to take action?
I would say one of my favorite books helped me take action, and that's The Shack by William Paul Young. You know, in recent years, they actually made a movie from it, but I had read the book years ago multiple times. And in that book, it tells the story of a man that experiences an extreme traumatic event in his life, and it causes him to become angry and turn away from God. And it also takes, you know, the reader on a journey of how having an encounter with God provides him, you know, a pathway back to God's love and ultimately his healing from that event. And in my chapter, Reshaping My Mindset for Love in Bittersweet Love Chronicles, I do the same thing by sharing my own personal experiences and kind of providing that quick snapshot of, you know, my pathway back to God's love. And I kind of that book resonated with me and took me back to that because it's kind of similar of what I went through, and you'll get a taste of that in the book. But that's probably one of like my favorite books that I could just read more than once. And I was excited when they made a movie out of it. It's very well done.
Will it be a bittersweet taste?
It will. It will. My chapter will probably pull on different emotions with people, whether it's hurt or anger or empathy. It's a lot of themes that are woven through my chapter. And in the entire book, it is a compilation book. Bittersweet Love Chronicles is a compilation book that has 27 different authors in it and their personal stories. It's really dynamic that it shares so many different themes in the book. You would not put it down. It's definitely a page turner. It will touch you in some way, whether it's you can relate with your own personal story or someone you know. It's an awesome book to put on your shelf. I would definitely say that.
That is right indeed. So with all your accomplishments now, when you had to go back 3 years and give yourself some advice if you were 25 in 2018, what piece of advice would you give to yourself?
In hindsight, I would probably tell my younger self, don't be afraid to connect with people and be more vulnerable. That connects with the earlier statement of networking and just cultivating relationships a bit more. I'd tell her to be more open to creating more experiences in her life and just to be more adventurous, to take more risks. You know, it's like embracing that expression, taking life by the horn. I would definitely say taking more risks stepping out there.
That's right. Step out on faith and dare to dream right there. I love it. Well, all right. So for those who want to keep in contact with you and send you some love notes after reading your piece and probably the pieces from the other ladies in the Bittersweet Chronicles, where can we get in touch with you?
First, I'd say you could actually meet me at my book signing. That'll be on April the 28th at 810 Park Avenue in Baltimore. That'll be from 1 to 4 p.m. That Saturday. And, you could go to my website at MoniqueCDaniels.com to purchase your copy of Bittersweet Love Chronicles just for $28. And you can also RSVP for the book signing by going to the contact page or putting your information in upon checkout. You can also like me on Facebook at Monique C. Daniels, and you can follow me on Instagram at Miss Priss MCD. That's MISSPRISSMCD. And you don't want to miss the awesome book release gala that will be on Saturday, April the 14th. You can also visit my website at MoniqueCDaniels.com to get tickets. They're $35 and for further details.
Woohoo! Well, there you have it, folks. Back-to-back moments where you can meet the marvelous Monique and snag a copy of her book. Heck, snag 3. Give some out to your neighbors, your cousins, heck, even a colleague, and see what they say about it. And then you get to meet Monique in person. It's going to be fabulous indeed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks a bunch for your listening ears on the Going North podcast. I hope you really, really enjoyed that episode. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to share it with your friends and family, especially those who love podcasts and love listening to some inspiration and motivation. And keep a lookout for the sequel to Going North, Tips and Techniques to Advance Yourself in October 2018. And if you'd like to connect with me directly, feel free to shoot me an email at dombrightmon@gmail.com. Make the